This honestly just seems like standard American highway traffic. Road of the Dead, one of the best games Flash could offer. It can be summarized in 2 words: chaotic fun. So much is going on at once, you would think you would get lost in the mess of it all, but 1, the mess is part of the fun, and 2, it's chaotic but it's not overwhelming. You can easily parse what's going on, and there is a lot of stuff going on at once. Like most games, it's gradually introduced to you as you get further into things. It starts with basic zombies and some mild traffic, then soldiers start taking some pot shots at you, and they show you some party tricks, calling in bomb squads and pulling these spike strips with rope. Okay, so like, is this real? Can road spikes be moved to different lanes, and can that be done by rope? As we get further, the military starts sending helicopters and planes after you. Every single run by the plane makes against you must cost like $20 million. Zombie mutants also start showing up, and I love their designs. They took the term muscle man 90% more literal, and this is what they ended up with. I love these guys. The on-road model looks a little silly, but they are so off-putting up close and a surprisingly unique design for the oversaturated world of zombies. These living protein powder ads, alongside everything else, is thrown into a blender and tossed in your direction. The traffic, which is a constant, also gets tougher and tougher as you drive. Soldiers also start appearing in larger groups. The helicopters gain access to missiles, and planes start doing multiple bombing runs per refuel. The more you piss off the military, the bigger that spending becomes. The weakest enemies are the zombies themselves. Besides the mutant, none of the zombies have a chance of ending your joyride. Most of the time, you're going to die via literal crash out or helicopter. Your car is just too fast for the generic zombies to cling onto your hood. Even when the mutants have a chance to hop onto your windshield, a single revolver shot shatters their skull. That doesn't happen in later games. We are more fighting the army than a zombie outbreak. Okay, so zombies in this game are a byproduct of a military project. Well, we aren't there yet. For now, a random mechanic stumbles upon an unsecure military frequency. He hears zombies killing everyone and says, "Okay, I'm out." The army tries to stop him and sends an entire Afghanistan campaign's worth of people into his bumper. Okay, let's briefly talk about Rule of Cool. It's the concept where you allow suspension of disbelief to override the part of your brain that tells you, hey, that thing isn't realistic, entirely because that thing is cooler when it's not realistic. Like, why doesn't the military just shoot at the tires instead of using spikes to pop them? It would be an easy way to cripple you. It's because popping tires gives your car extreme Joy-Con drift, and that just randomly happening to you is as annoying as actual Joy-Con drift. Gameplay in pretty much any game is going to have to make some concessions with reality if it wants to be good. 80% of reality is annoyance and tedium. It's best when it's properly filtered out of gameplay mechanics for the sake of convenience and actual fun. Anyway, our guy, John Kreisman, rams through the highway. We hear the military slowly lose control of the zombies while sending resources directly into our headlights.
We're about to be overrun. The current strategy is shit.
It kinda does feel like we hurt the army's ego by getting past their first attempts to stop us, and now it's personal. Near the end, General Sherman takes over. He tells all soldiers to evacuate because he's going to nuke the city. I do like that in the last few sections, the regular soldiers just disappear. It's just helicopters and bombers. Everyone else was told to evacuate, so you don't see them anymore. You're definitely not getting your way through the highway in one attempt. I would love to see someone beat the game in a completely unupgraded car in one run. That legit has to be close to impossible based on the time crunch in the last section alone. I don't think you have enough speed to outrun the nuke with the base engine. The game does balance you getting car upgrades with the bigger things the army throws at you. You never need to go back and grind for points. Although, don't spend any RP on horns or perception. Those don't do much. The game is overall strangely professional. The soundtrack is good, the sound effects are distinct and can audibly tell you what's going on among the carnage. I love the mutant screech. Graphically, the game has aged amazingly. I mean, some parts do have that awkward flash animation thing to it, but overall, yeah, it's good. There are so many little details in every art asset, and some gore shots were clearly done because Sick Death Fiend, the artist, was very into that. Not many Flash games had voice acting, but I do think Road of the Dead had the best among them. Some of it doesn't sound as good as young me remembered, but overall, this is rather impressive voice work.
This is General Sherman. I am taking command of this operation. We're facing an enemy like we've never seen before. But keep your heads cool, and we're gonna get through it.
I don't think the story is anything to write home about. The zombie setting is nothing noteworthy. This one random mechanic is just getting out of the city and flipping off the army the entire time. The ending has a super bleak tone. The zombies, or I think more specifically the mutants, are unaffected by nukes. The very last line is General Sherman saying,
We failed, son.
I do kind of like that, but the other games disagreed.
Follow the chain of command and we will prevail. Godspeed. Sherman out.
Which I also don't mind. The setting could go bleak or hopeful, and I don't think it'll change that much. There are some extra modes once you complete the main story. Highway to Hell is hard mode. Time Attack has a timer that goes up when you run someone over, and you explode when it reaches 0. Police State removes all zombie pretenses and just has you directly fighting the military. Well, that's the first game. Honestly, it seems like a bit of a one and done, but the creators had some other ideas, starting with Lab of the Dead. It takes place partially in parallel with Road of the Dead. This game was designed for mobile, as you can see with the vertical screen. The gameplay tries to emulate a research lab setting, with one nerd and a bunch of jocks.
Hey, Tyler!
Yes, Private Quinn?
What you're doing is bullshit, man!
There's a small resource management system to play around with, but the main appeal is process of discovery and the main story. We slowly get more things to use on our chosen test subject, and we try to get more reactions out of them. There's the 3 basic reactions of neutral, the default, passive, which you get by being nice to the corpse, and aggressive, which you get by throwing hands. Every non-weapon item has a special reaction you can get under certain conditions. Weapons are here to lower the zombie's mood or to just kill them again. A lot of the early items have advanced reactions that only require certain stats. High mood, high humanity, low hunger, some combination of those. The items you get later in require more complex situations. Subject needs to have seen certain advanced reactions of other items. Subject should learn some level of self-defense. Subject should learn what music variety is. It's quite fun to slowly figure things out with your zombie guinea pig. Also, if you are a certain type of person, you may have only used one type of zombie. You freak. The story. We have 2 different storylines that mirror each other. You are Alan, a nerdy guy with a squad of surviving soldiers. They find an underground lab filled with zombies in a prison. You find notes and audio logs of the original science team that basically started the outbreak. You clash with the military guys guarding you, and the lady in the tapes clash with the military guys guarding her. We see a falling out in both storylines. The tapes end with the lady scientist getting shot, and our story ends with us killing all the soldiers. There's a moment of confrontation with the captain that I felt should have branched the endings. We're supposed to show him 5 reactions to prove that we've been doing something, and no matter what you show him, he's completely unimpressed. Like, dude, a zombie saluted me and used a gun. Also, if the timeline is right, the zombies must have been around in public for months before John realized what was going on. I guess he was a loner type. The game ends with Alan getting mild psychosis from complete isolation and finally deciding to leave the lab. They added on a last-minute reveal that Alan is the brother of John from the first game, so there's the connection. Range of the Dead takes place right after Lab, and it's the worst game of the group. 100 levels of wind speed and distance calculations just doesn't really do it for me. It drags on far too long. It tries to have some variety with a bow and this strange looking 3D grenade. It doesn't help that much when the rifle is just better. Beating it gets us a short cutscene of a helicopter flying overhead. There was one other game.
It's time to go.
Road of the Dead 2 is in contention of being the best Flash game ever made. The game is almost perfect. Driving is now only half the fight. Shooting has been added and we have a much improved progression system. We are now 2 soldiers, Diane and Cocheta, both of which are going AWOL as military control of the city collapses. The jeep they drive is much slower than the car from the first game, meaning zombies cling onto the hood a lot easier. The 2 of them are soldiers, so a lot more guns are involved to counteract that. Shooting adds a lot to the chaos and makes the zombies more of an active threat. The gunplay itself is satisfying. It gives your other hand something to do. WASD is the driver and your mouse is the gunner. It's a clever way to simulate 2 people. Each person is attached to a hand. A major difference from the first game is that you stop your car a lot and you defend your car at every stop. You can get upgrades mid-run. It's a lot easier to go deep in a single drive, as you can now repair and upgrade your car without having to die. The RP counter is no longer hidden. You can see it update live. You get more RP, but there's more things to spend it on. There's also some skills completely unrelated to RP. Each character's driving and toughness level is increased by driving and crashing a car respectively. Every gun has a handling, aiming, and reloading stat, all of which is increased by using that specific gun more. Diane and Cocheta each have 4 different weapons. Non-pistol guns have limited ammo, and pistols are predictably weak. It's smart to at least get the new guns so their pools of ammo can be added to your total. But you don't need to do that. I just used Diane's shotgun throughout almost all of the main story. I only got other weapons at the very last section, because this is pure shooting at medium/long range, a shotgun's weakness. Of course, you can also upgrade your car alongside some miscellaneous perks. Buy the passive that makes everything cheaper first. You should always do that. Certain locations can only improve certain stats. Miscellaneous stuff can be gotten everywhere. Car tune-ups are in garages, healing is in churches, and weapon upgrades are in police stations and weapon crates. Mounted guns are way too pricey to be a temporary perk. You do have access to every upgrade when you die and start over at a checkpoint, but most of the time you don't have that many points in the bank cause you spent it all mid-run. This does integrate the progression system into the main gameplay. We've already stopped to repair the engine, might as well get some better armor. It's a very smooth integration. Progression systems feel the worst when it's disconnected from the main game. This system welds the progression directly onto the gameplay's face. I like the fact that it's now plausible to complete the game on the very first run if you know what you're doing. The composition of our enemies are a bit different this time round. We don't really fight much military here. Communications have broken down, so we might get blue on blue carpet bombed, but other than that, the military isn't directly against us. The zombies and traffic have been ramped up to compensate. It isn't just highways anymore. There's cramped alleyways, parks, and graveyards. We drive through intersections and can crash into other drivers. There's a lot more vehicles on the road. We gather ammo from abandoned military vehicles and we can preemptively shoot gas trucks and mines to clear the way. There's plenty more zombies, some are stronger than others, and of course, the mutants. God, I love these guys. They are so much stronger here. These guys are fast enough to outrun your jeep, have hops for days, are seemingly intelligent and actively malicious. Once you drive past the other zombies, they lose interest in you. Not these guys. They chase your jeep and don't just go for the hood. They can come at you directly, grabbing the gunner or driver, disabling them for a moment. You don't just shoot them off once. 2 shotgun blasts to the face and they just say, okay, I'll come back later. And they do. They're extremely persistent and later on they start coming in packs. The Alpha Mutant is a new variant. They never appear alone, have more health, and will directly damage the hood of your car. These things are amazing to fight. We are flying by the seats of our pants whenever mutants show up. The characters are in a desperate struggle, and so are we. Packs of these guys are boss sections, and you feel relief and accomplishment once you get past them, only to be hit with like 3 more. Although if you're good at timing and slightly lucky, you can shoot mines and gas trucks at just the right moment to blow these guys up. Everything around the gameplay and progression has also been improved. The voice acting is as good as any major game.
God has nothing to do with this.
Some of the animation and cutscenes still have that flash jank, but like all of the action moments are amazingly detailed and smooth, if the game is willing. The music is appropriately dramatic and grandiose. The sound effects perfectly match and serve as great audio cues. The story has been fiddled around a bit to be something a bit bigger. We directly see how fast the military loses control, the absolute mess the city is in, how desperate the situation is, and how nobody in charge knows what to do.
Move north to regroup, over.
Regroup where? With who? Kilo 5 to HQ, regroup where? HQ, do you copy? Damn it!
Cocheta sees this and says, "Let's get the fuck out." Diane is slightly more of a loyalist, but over time realizes, yeah, we should probably leave. The two soldiers learn about the evacuation order from the first game. They miss their transports, they learn that they're getting nuked, they have a minor breakdown. Cocheta tries to call someone in command that can help and gets put on hold 3 times.
Please hold!
No, wait! Fucking bitch!
The command center is in clear disarray, but somehow Cocheta manages to angrily yell his way up to the general, and have that general pretend to be someone else.
For 30 minutes, soldier. Our transport will rendezvous with...
Don't give me your bullshit routine! Who is this?
This is General Sherman. What's your name?
Fuck you, that's my name! You're gonna nuke the city, you son of a bitch!
He got mad enough that the commanding officer himself decides to fly into a heavily infested zone while a nuke is about to be launched into the area just to save 2 soldiers.
We drive to you! You fly to us! We meet in the middle! Fairview Mall's main parking lot! Come on! Are your medals and pins worth anything, sir? Or are you the biggest coward I've ever met in my life?
You've got heart, son. I'll give you that. Okay. Alright. Let's do it.
Damn, talk about passing a speech check. We ended up barely making it, and we hear the final speech from the first game again directly this time. Almost all the soldiers are dead or scattered, but the general has a clear plan to rebuild. The ending sets up a 3rd game to make a trilogy.
It's not over, people!
We get to play with the original car after we beat the main story, and it has a notable speed increase. Okay, so the possible Road of the Dead 3. It's in a bit of a limbo. It's been quiet for a while. EvoDog himself has been infrequent. As far as I can tell, Road of the Dead 3 isn't outright cancelled, just not expected anytime soon. These guys have made their masterpiece. It's been over a decade, what's a few more years? Alright, let's go into black and white next.